Living Compact Bible Dictionary. Let's look up Ham. Ham, perhaps hot, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. Watch this. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So the scholars know that the Negroes are not Hamitic. They're Shemitic. All right, in this dictionary from the 1800s, let's look up in Africa about the native population. Native population, the chief names used in describing the African population are Negroes, Bantu-speaking and Sudanic-speaking, Hamites, Northern and Eastern, Pygmies, Bushmen, and Hottentots. I want to jump down. The word Hamite, for example, describes men of physique differing from that of Negroes. So the white man knows that the Hamites are different from that of Negroes. Remember, this word is a Spanish word from Spain. Let's go down. Some of these physical patterns of face, skull formation, and body are common to certain areas, despite considerable crossbreeding of Negroes and Hamites, Negroes with Pygmies and Arab Semites with their Negro slaves. Negro tribes differ in facial feature and body build, but a Negro of West Africa without any admixture is the one usually chosen as a type. He is heavily built and from median height to tall. The head is long in relation to the breadth. The nose is wide, the lips thick and everted. The lower jaw protrudes. The skin color is very dark brown, almost black, and the hair is invariably black and woolly. All right, watch this, look at this. Slavery was due to raids of Arabs and Hamites or Negro communities. Do y'all see that? Picture history of Jewish civilization. Take a look at this. Y'all see the black slaves with yokes of iron on their neck? Very similar to the yokes of iron during the transatlantic slave trade. Let's read what it says. Thousands of war captives who were transformed into slaves made it possible for the Egyptian kings to implement their feats of engineering. Chained captives are shown on these painted clay facing plaques from a building erected by Ramses II in honor of the king's brave warriors from the period of the 19th dynasty, 19th dynasty. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, it says these were war captives. You think when the Egyptians was putting yokes of iron on our neck, we didn't fight against them? Yes, we fought again. Oh, you thought we just stood there and they put yokes of iron on their neck? No, we fought. The only problem was we lost. But that was God's judgment. You got to look at the similarities between these yokes of iron and the yokes of iron that America put on us. Here's the Israelites in Egypt working as slaves. What color are they? What color are the Israelites working? The same color as the taskmasters. These are not white folks. These are not Caucasians. Here's the Israelites picking grapes in Egypt. What color are they? Black. What color are they? Black. The Egyptians became familiar with the horse and wagon after the victory of the Hyksos in the beginning of the long period, 1730 to 1580 before Christ existed, walked the earth, of the rule of Asiatic peoples in the land of the pharaohs. This painting on a coffin shows Tutankhamun, that's King Tut, shooting his enemies from a war chariot from the tomb of Tutankhamun, Egyptian Museum. Now we know Tutankhamun died as a child, but they gave him honor. Look, everybody that's fighting getting smashed are black. Look at the Egyptian slaves, the slaves of Egypt. Those were the Israelites serving King Tut, black. This was us here, slaves. Slaves. Israelite slaves. Israelite slaves. Muhammad, founder of Islam. Muhammad's first principle, which proclaimed Allah is Lord of the universe and there is no other, is essentially a Jewish doctrine. The phrase, "and Muhammad is his prophet," was added only later. The saying, "no one is a prophet in his own town," held particularly true for Muhammad. In Mecca, his birthplace, he was not well received. He was not received well. Mecca was the center of the paganism of the Arabian tribes. Muhammad was forced to flee and to make his hijrah to Yathrib, Medina, in 622. There he initiated efforts to win converts to his faith among the city's Arab population. He became very close to the Jews. These are the black Jews, as I've been showing you, and this book has proven it. He became very close to the Jews and adopted various Jewish practices such as fasting on the Day of Atonement and facing Jerusalem in prayer. Even his scribe was a Jew. All these facts led the Jews to consider him one of the God-fearing and a light to the Gentiles, and they even helped him. But they did not regard him as a prophet of God. His demand that the Jewish tribe of Bani Qunuqua adopt his doctrines, the religion of Islam, was contemptuously rejected. Do y'all see that? It was this rebuff which accounted for Muhammad's eventual great hatred of the Jews, those black Jews. He hated them. He abandoned the observances he had borrowed from Judaism, and as soon as his position among the Arab tribes grew stronger, he began attacking the Jews and their customs and even waged open warfare against them. The armies of the Arab tribes surrounded the Jewish communities in the vicinity of Medina and in northern Arabia and completely destroyed them. Only a few survivors succeeded in escaping the sword of the faithful to southern Palestine and Tamia. After Muhammad's death in 632, his followers in the Arabian Peninsula increased in numbers and power. Their religious fanaticism was combined with a lust for battle, a passion for conquest and plunder. So this is a brief history on how Muhammad was established or set himself up as a so-called prophet. Look here, I'm on page 94. Let's read the highlight. Simeon Bar Yochai wept and said, "Lord of the universe, is it not enough for your sons what the evil kingdom of Edom, Rome," see, they knew, the scholars know that Edom is Rome, "did to them, that you must also send the kingdom of Ishmael against us?" That's the Arabs. Do y'all see that? Let's go down. And there will be a great hatred between them and the children of Esau, Rome. Let me read this part again. He sets a prophet of his choice over them who will conquer the land of Israel for them. And they will come and restore it to the Jews. And there will be a great hatred between them and the children of Esau, Rome. Y'all see that? But this book gives you the history. Notice it went from showing the Jews being black to the Arabs, Muhammad being established and the Arabs hating and destroying us, enslaving us. Now it gets to the Khazars, how the white man fit into all of this, okay, and became Jewish. The Khazars. Numerous tribes in the Arabian Peninsula and in the various lands of the Near Middle East adopted Judaism. The most famous of these were the Khazars. The land of the Khazars in southern Russia extended from the Caspian Sea to the Black Sea. You know what that area is called? The Caucasus Mountains. As far as Crimea, the Khazars were a semi-nomadic pagan tribe whose chief was the Cajun. At the beginning of the 8th century, the Khazars became very strong by virtue of their domination of the trade route between the Byzantine Empire and the Far East. For this reason, both the Byzantine emperors and Baghdad caliphs were interested in cultivating the Khazars and bringing them under their influence by winning them to their religion. Paganism was on its last legs. Cajun Bullen of the Khazars, who reigned over his people in the middle of the 8th century, decided to abandon his pagan faith, but could not make up his mind what new faith to adopt. So when you read this, it tells you about a Jew and a Christian. A black Jew and a Christian came to him. Just to get to the point, this being the case, Cajun decided to adopt the faith of the Jews. This is how the white man became Jewish during the Middle Ages. Now that was